Hello everyone, welcome back. Vanessa here from Vanessa's Variety Venue, and today I'm going to be pruning my fruit trees. So I hadn't planned this, so I had already started pruning them. They're the pieces on the ground, but I could tell you what I've been doing. What I've learned is you want to keep the trees shorter so their limbs, when they produce fruit, they're within a reasonable reach, not way too tall. Then you can't reach the fruit, and then it's going to just be a hassle. So I learned that we want to keep the tree having just 1 leader. This had 2 leaders, this one and this one. So I had to decide between the two which one I wanted. I went with the slightly bigger one. So this one is now the new leader, and I took this one down. And then I took the rest of the branches down a little lower because, of course, as it says leader, you want the leader to be the tallest. Now, when I cut the leader, as I learned, I want to cut it right above an outward facing branch because you don't want branches growing inside and covering other branches and preventing them from getting enough sunlight. So here's an outward facing branch, and I had cut it just above that. I cut the second leader completely off, and the next branches that are below it I cut them as well to keep them lower than the leader. And all of those branches, I've cut them with an outward facing branch. I don't know if you can see this. There we go. So this is facing out and away from the inner part of the tree. This bud here is facing out and away from the inner part of the tree. And I just did that going around the whole thing. So I have one other tree that I haven't started cutting yet. So you'll get to see all of that. Now this peach I am currently cutting. So I'm going to set up the stand to hold this while I cut it. On second thought, I'll just hold the phone hopefully as steady as I can and walk you through as I'm cutting it. So as you can see currently, wait, let me move this away so you can see it. Now that's better. It's not crowded with the other trees. So currently, this is my leader. I just cut him down lower because he was way too tall. And here he has an outward facing branch, which he's a leader, so it doesn't really matter too much because he's in the middle, and most likely all of his branches will be facing outward. But the branches that come out below it, like this bud, that's facing in toward the leader. You don't want that. You want to get this one. So if I were to cut it, I want to cut it right here, getting rid of the outward one, and the one that's left, getting rid of the inward one, and the one that's left will be this one. So as the energy comes up the branch, it's going to stop here, and this is going to get a lot of energy, and it's going to just, take off. Instead of this one would be taking off and going in, crowding out all of the rest of the branches below. That's what I've learned. So I want this branch to be lower than my leader branch. So I'll have to cut it about here. So that is lower than the leader. And here I have an outward facing bud, facing out. So I'm going to just take it, I'm right here, right? So see, my leader is the tallest and he should remain so. So these other branches, I need to take them down so they're lower than the leader. So let me look for a good outward facing branch. So here we have a whole bunch. This one is a very good outward facing one. It has 2 flowers next to it, but in between there's a nice little bud there. You see that green thing? And it's facing directly away from the leader in the center. So this is right where I'm going to cut it. See, now you can see more clearly who the leader is. That's the center branch. We want to maintain that.
Hi, Daddy.
So I'm going to come over here. I'm trying to give you a further distance so you can see what I'm trying to do. Yep, there we go. Oh, I'm supposed to, they say to cut at an angle. Let's do that again. I'm not exactly sure what the angle does. I've actually forgotten. I know I've rid of what it is. So now I have to take everybody down because everybody's very tall now. So here we go. Maybe this one? Or should we go up here? This one. Sorry. This outward facing bud. Sorry. So I'm cutting it now as well because it's the spring, and as you can see, it's budding and it's ready to go. I should have tried to cut it in the fall, but I couldn't decide if I was really prepared to prune it. Mordecai, please don't kill them. I'm going to try to see if I can root them and get more plants, probably give them away to the family. So I wasn't sure I was prepared. You know, you want to make sure you have enough information and get it done right. So I wasn't sure I was ready to cut them yet. So now I think I have a good understanding of how to cut it. So I'm cutting it before it starts putting out big branches, and then I'm going to just cut those off, and you know, they'll go to waste. All that energy that the tree put into making those branches. So now I'm going to be cutting them. So whatever branch it does put its energy in are branches that are going to stay. So they always say it's best to do this in the late fall, I believe, to, you know, to late winter. But it's not too late, so I'm doing it now. I'll give you another angle. All right, so here's our leader. Those are the other branches. So I need to take this branch down here. It's a little too tall. So let me find a nice outward facing branch. See this one right here? Outward facing. You know, step back. See that? How it's taking shape? Might need to take that branch down over there. Over here, it's a little too high. And he has a nice outward facing branch right below. Very good, very good. So see, it's taking shape. Almost sort of like a Christmas tree kind of shape, pointy at the top and outward from the leader. When I go this side, you're seeing a lot of the branches from the other trees, but I need to take a little bit off of these. They're a little taller than the others over there. So I'm going to do just a little bit right here, outward facing branch. Drink some. No, thank you, my sweetheart. No, thank you. Right. So I'm going to leave that there, and then we'll see in the fall, late winter, if I guess, yeah, in the fall, if I need to do anything else, because you know a lot of growth is going to occur over the spring. So we'll see if we need to prune that anymore. So this is the first pair that I've pruned, and this is the second pair, and I have two pairs because a lot of fruit trees need a second tree that's separate from itself to cross-pollinate. So this is the same species, but of course just a second tree. And as we look up here at the top, you see almost all of them is around about very, very close in height. But you know, you can see this one here, that's the leader, and these are like almost right there with it. So I'm gonna have to bring these down, but I'm also going to bring the leader down because it's a little too tall right now. If I leave that, by the time the spring is over, can you imagine how high that's going to be? So I'm going to bring him down first, and then I'll bring the other branches down, you know, lower than where I brought it down. So yeah, I think right about here. Oh, gotta learn how to keep this camera angled while I cut. Right about here, you can see all that up there. That's what I'm taking down. And again, guys, I may cut this again in the late fall going into the winter or early winter. Alrighty, so now we have to take down all the other limbs lower than the leader. So here's the leader again. He's got to come down lower. Outward facing bud right there below my clipper. See it right there behind the clipper. clipper at an angle, and cut. Now guys, I'm not wasting any of these clippings. I'm going to try to root them and see if I can get little plants. Hopefully, if they do root, I'll give them away to family members if they so desire. Or I just might have multiple fruit trees and I'll have a wonderful orchard. I'm sorry guys, I digress. Alright, so leader and right there, outward facing bud right below that. Beautiful. The next branch behind it, outward facing bud right there, down. Yes. Now we have these two here need to come down as well. Outward facing bud there. So we're going to cut that at an angle. This one here, outward facing, oh boy, outward facing bud over there, down. So see, looks different, doesn't it? You can clearly see the leader now. So this one now, I have to bring him down too. Outward facing bud, right there. Right there, outward facing bud, cut at an angle. Outward facing bud. That one is not too outward facing. Let's find another. Okay, there you go. That's more outward facing. And as I said, guys, I may have to come back in and trim it. So pretty much that's it. Yep. Let's take this down a little. There we go. See now what that looks like? It looks like a heavy cut. I might have cut it a little heavy, but as you guys can see, it's a huge difference from how way up, straight up tall that was. Now there's another thing that they talk about, the angle of the joints of the trees. This one is kind of tight, but I'm not going to cut that branch off. They say these ones are not good, but I'm going to leave that alone for now. I've cut it very heavily, and I'm going to leave those alone. They say these angles that you want like 45-degree angles. So most of them look pretty good for the most part. I'm not very worried about it right now. I think it's pretty good. And now look at them together. Yeah. Let me put them closer. They look about the same height. Here we go. Wow. The two pear trees. Beautiful. And when I just bought them, you weren't seeing any of these things. It was just look like bare stems like this. Now, the whole plant, you can see it's coming to life. It's springtime. The warmth is bringing out all the leaves. And the peach trees, they're all budding. So beautiful. Now this peach tree, I'm not going to cut it at all because in my opinion, I feel like it's at perfection. The height, let me put it up, let me put the other one up against it so you see the difference in height. Now I'm over here stepping on these cuttings that I want to keep. So this one here is the one I just trimmed. This one has not been trimmed. Big difference in height, right? Because I trimmed it down and it's still tall, and this one has not been trimmed. So I'm going to leave that alone. I see very good angles on all of the branches going out, so I don't really see anything that I might need to take out. But yeah, so I'm going to leave that alone and see how it progresses. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I'm not going to mess with it. Now the apples. Here are the apples. You see that? How way up high those goes? I'm going to cut those and then show you the end results just to save some time. But before I do that, this is a perfect example that they say you don't want 2 leader branches. And they're two very tall, all the way up there. They're pretty much the same height when you go to the top. And they're almost the same size as well. So I'm going to have to choose between the two. Which one is going to be a leader. I think I'm going to choose this one. It's a little bigger, so that tells me it's more dominant. So I'm going to choose that one. Then I'm going to determine how low I'm going to cut them both, because they both have to be cut. The leader is too tall, and the second leader should not be a leader. So I'm going to take it down. This one kind of has the same thing going on with it, and it was already cut, I guess, from the nursery. I bought it like this, so I guess they were trying to prevent that, but it still happened. So now I'm gonna have to cut it again. So I'm going to give you the view. That's what they're looking like now, and I'll be right back. So it's begun to rain again. So this is the end result. I didn't do anything other than bring the leader that I want to be leading down lower, and I cut the second leader down to becoming a subordinate branch. Same thing I did with the other one. It's a lot of stems that I cut off because they were super tall, but pretty much that's it. I'm not doing anything to the blueberries as yet. I've got to do a little more research to see if I need to do any. They're pretty bushy. They look to have good structure, so I'm going to leave them alone for now. But look at my deck, guys. Look at all these stems. I'm going to collect all of them and do something. So as I learn, I'm sharing. Each one teach one. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.